You know, this review for Pompo the Cinephile might be the hardest video I've ever had to write. Mostly because I genuinely had no idea what angle to approach this movie from. So I just opted to cover all of it. Okay, maybe not all of my thoughts, but all the points that came to mind when writing this video. So like Belle and Violet Evergarden, I'll just quickly give my non-spoiler thoughts on the movie before diving into a deeper analysis of the story, characters, and themes, because this video's 4 months late, so why not? Pompo the Cinephile follows a film buff named Gene, who works as the assistant to the B-movie producer legend whose name is in the title, you guessed it, Pompo. One day, a brilliant idea for a film pops into Pompo's head, and she gives Gene his first directing role. The entire film from this point forward is a test of his abilities and how he'll bring his creative vision to life, while also working with others who want to contribute their part to the movie. Now, this basically being a celebration of film, the story does touch upon many filmmaking aspects including acting, cinematography, directing, funding, and especially editing. The fun facts and trivia it provides doesn't feel forced or like it's mindlessly glorifying the industry. It all serves its purpose to the story, even at times criticizing the industry for how higher-ups constantly limit the creative potential of their talented filmmakers. And this cuts way deeper than you think it does, but we can bring that up later. I can't think of a single character that I dislike. The interesting thing about this movie is that each of the main characters feel like they represent a different aspect of filmmaking. Gene, of course, handles both directing and editing. Pompo makes all the financial and scheduling decisions. Natalie is a new actress alongside veteran actor Martin. Alan is completely disconnected from the film crew, being the one who offers to fund the movie, and Mistia and Corbett serve as mentors to the newcomers in their respective roles. Each and every one of them are a blast to watch. Martin and Natalie have amazing chemistry, which is fitting because they're the main characters of the in-universe movie. Gene is a ball of wholesome and inspirational in his drive to direct and edit his own movie. His journey is extremely admirable and relatable. Pompo is especially interesting for reasons I'll get into later, but in short, she seems like the complete opposite of what you'd think a corporate higher-up would be. Instead of being this greedy, money-making monster, she's a compassionate and hardworking soul who values the creativity of her team and loves spewing out as many ideas for scripts as possible. Going back to aspects of filmmaking, this movie does indeed have beautiful visuals, but I feel like the one element that ties it all together fantastically is the editing. If this movie isn't a love letter to film, it sure as heck is a love letter to editing. Nearly half of the film takes place in an editing suite, and there are so many clever decisions in when and how one shot transitions to another, either through something as simple as a cut, or as seamless as an airplane slicing through the screen. That is real, that is an actual transition in the movie. Editing is a very underrated aspect of film, and it is what I think is the most important aspect. You can have amazing cinematography, but it's rendered worthless if your editing sucks. I really love that they dedicated so much of the story to what is one of the most overshadowed filmmaking technicals. Now, before I go more in depth about what I interpreted from the film, I want to briefly touch upon the dub versus sub thing. Because it's anime, you're always gonna have to deal with that crap online. I watched this dubbed, and I thought the voices were really good. Aside from a few awkward lines, I'd say this is an excellent dub. The only thing that put me off is that they also translated the opening song, and it kinda sucks now. Do with that what you will. Alright, I'm gonna be honest. This is the reason why this video took so long to write, because there are so many layers to this movie's thematic brilliance to the point where I had legitimately no idea what angle to approach it from. And then I got sick, and I'm still sick. So because of that, I have just resorted to dumping all of my thoughts semi-organized into different sections. And now that we're here, let's just go down the line and examine almost everything I want to talk about in this movie. One of the most obvious takeaways from this film, or at least from the first half, is the value of teamwork, which on paper seems like a pretty generic message, but like Belle's titular message of kindness, the execution makes all the difference. The story very quickly establishes all the working parts of the film crew. Corbett is directing their latest feature, Pompo is funding the film, and everyone else is doing their part, including Gene, established as someone who, despite being somewhat inexperienced in his field, is very passionate about his work and is eager to learn from his peers. Pompo giving Gene his first directorial role isn't just a test of his passion, but it is also a test of his ability to work with other people. The one character in this film with the most experience in teamwork is Martin, since he is a veteran actor who in his introductory scene with Gene immediately encourages everyone to provide him with their input. This is a very pivotal first step in Gene's development as the director, because after all, a good leader is also a good listener, and he definitely needs help from others in order to fully realize his vision for the film. This leads into one of the best sequences of the movie: filming the rain scene. On a day where the crew is supposed to shoot an outdoor scene, it begins to pour. The film crew is about to call it quits and just film inside, but the rain gives Gene an idea to add a new scene in the film. Things are going smoothly, but the scene feels a little stale, which gives Martin an idea to add him falling in the scene. And from there, the entire sequence consists of many people suggesting fun add-ons and quirks to the scene, culminating in Natalie's brilliant idea for her and Martin to get in a mud fight. It's not just that this sequence is beautiful, but the actual scene they make is astounding as well. This and many other moments in Pompo show just how important teamwork is, and how working together and taking in suggestions can give way to amazing art. But as said, that's not all the movie's got going for it. I love all the characters in the movie, and all of them serve their purpose very well. But if there's one character that I wish there was more of, they really could have utilized Natalie a bit more. Not that she's a wasted character, but what irks me about her involvement is her relationship with Gene, or lack thereof. Because when you get down to it, the most important friendship in the movie is the one between Gene and Pompo, whereas the second most important feels like it really should have been Gene and Natalie. Both are newbies in their respective fields, yet their nervousness is complemented by their passion and tenacity. But all the scenes they get together are their initial meeting, and later when Gene is sick in his editing suite. And it feels like there was something planned to be between them that was cut. That's just a personal irritant though, and I don't even know why I mentioned that here. But aside from all that, it doesn't change the fact that Natalie serves a very important role in the movie's themes. Her background of growing up in a small town in the country is very atypical of a celebrity actress, at least from her perspective. So for her to dream of being an actress one day comes across as silly to some of her peers in her life. However, the lengths she goes to, despite her circumstances, and her overwhelmingly positive attitude to never give up is awe-inspiring. And that awe-inspiring demeanor is what landed her the lead role in Gene's movie, since Pompo wrote the script around her character. Even if she needed a massive amount of training, Gene and Pompo knew that she was perfect for the role. And it serves to communicate the message, despite your background, you can really be anything so long as you have the passion for it, because other people will see that passion and admire you greatly. And what I'm about to say might sound crazy to some, but this message is better executed here than in Ratatouille. I'm sorry, I know that's sacrilege to some, and honestly, Ratatouille was also really good at conveying those messages, but Pompo goes to such lengths to establish Natalie's drive and determination that I found myself way more invested in her journey, even if it wasn't on display for a lot of the film. You'll notice that so far I have associated these themes with one of the main characters. Teamwork makes the dream work for Martin, and an artist can come from anywhere for Natalie. But in my opinion, No theme I've considered has a greater connection to their respective character as the one I have assigned to Pompo, the title character of the film. Remember when I said that Pompo seems like the complete opposite of what a corporate higher-up would be? The movie touches on subjects related to how greedy higher-ups have the potential to limit the creativity and talent of their workers, not by showing the consequences of their leadership, but by showing an example of how people in these positions should act. Let me clarify. From her introductory scene all the way to the end of the film, Pompo is fully supportive of everyone on her team as a leader. She is a tried and true entrepreneur with all of the best qualities of one. She generates film idea after film idea, creating stories that are bound to not just excite audiences, but also provide her crew with many opportunities for fun ideas and riveting production. You can tell her effect on Corbett, Jean, and Mistia is incomprehensibly positive. Corbett and Mistia have a lot of fun bringing life to her creative vision, and Jean loves taking advice and hearing Pompo's words of wisdom about her journey in entrepreneurship. But she's not just inspirational, she is wholly compassionate and caring for her workers and their health, mental and physical. When Jean experiences burnout and realizes that there's a missing scene in the story, Pompo doesn't turn away the idea. She gives him permission to film a new scene because she trusts his creative vision and is willing to go along with his intuition. Later in the movie, when Jean is hospitalized, Pompo doesn't try and force him to continue editing despite his condition. In fact, she's the one who pushes the notion to have him stay in his room and recover for his sake, even if that means not having the final cut being completely his creative vision. She's the one who has to be convinced to let Jean back in the editing suite. Now play this in comparison to real-life examples where executives practically force their creators to work with little pay, little time, and little provisions health-wise. The editors for Frozen 2 had to constantly wake up at 3 a.m. A lot of the animators for Sausage Party had to work overtime and were heavily underpaid. And now let's take a moment to clown on HBO Max. Screw you. Pompo doesn't just serve as an inspiration for our characters, she serves as a testament to what it means to be a good leader. Have good people skills, have compassion for others, have a sense of urgency while also having a sense of playfulness, but above all, have passion for what you do, because that passion will affect the people around you and motivate them as well. Speaking of which, in my opinion, the central message of Pompo the Cinephile is the importance of passion in hard work. And it examines this idea by answering questions like, why do we love art? And why do we create art? And the answer this movie gives is pretty much the same idea I expressed in my video essay I published early 2022. Art is a form of expression, and it's a way to communicate ideas and feelings to specific people through poetic merit and passion. The very first piece of advice Jean is given at the beginning of his directorial career is by Corbett, who suggests that he dedicate his film to someone special in his life, saying that if you try to please everyone, your movie will be a complete mess. What Corbett means is that Jean shouldn't try to appeal to the masses when it comes to making his movie. He should just pick a specific person important to him in his life and dedicate the movie to them, because the intentions and passion will come across better if he makes the film as personal as possible. So he follows that advice and decides to dedicate the entire movie to Pompo, his mentor and best friend. Fast forward to him in his editing suite, Jean recalls Pompo's opinions on movie lengths, saying that 90 minutes is the perfect runtime. Personally, same. But anyway, because of that, Jean makes it his goal to edit hours upon hours of footage into just 90 minutes. But as he's editing, he hits roadblock after roadblock, eventually to the point where he's suffering from burnout. So he goes to Pompo's father for advice, in which his advice is to, quote, find himself in his movie. It's the first time in a while that Jean really examines not just what he wants his movie to mean to Pompo, but what the movie means to him. And what does he see in his film? an artist that is struggling to create, an artist that wants to express himself but is hindered by doubt and dead ends, an artist who wants to pour passion into his work but finds it difficult because it feels like something is missing, a scene. So when Pompo returns from her expedition, Jean begs to shoot another scene, even though Pompo states multiple times the multiple complications that would come with. In that moment of determination, Jean is practically oozing with passion, and it is that very passion that convinces Pompo to have him shoot another scene. Passion permeates all throughout this film, in its subject matter, in its characters, and in its filmmaking. It is a tried and true testament to the medium of film and the power of artistic expression. This is the core of Pompo the Cinephile, and it has certainly made its mark. This video was hard to write, and it sure as hell is gonna be hard to edit, but honestly, I'm just glad that I'm able to make this. I feel very passionately about this movie, and considering that Pompo the Cinephile radiates with passion, I just needed to make a review one way or another on the movie. Now, do I like everything about the movie? Kind of, but not to an extraordinary extent. Live streams of meetings do happen in real life, believe it or not, but the way it was executed was a little silly. And as said, it could have used a bit more Natalie, especially with her relationship with Jean. But honestly, I love this movie. It is a masterpiece, it means a lot to me, and I hope more people check it out. 9 out of 10. And just because we're at the end of the year now, I'll ramble about a couple more movies I watched in my free time. I finally got around to watching Seen a Bit of Harmony, and I loved it. The musical numbers are catchy and fun, the story takes so many interesting twists and turns, and it does one of the most impressive things this kind of story can do: make the token manic pixie dream girl the best and most relatable character in the movie. Let's just say an AI program to make people happy might be going through a lot after losing everything she loves. Despite never seeing the Rise of TMNT series aside from a few compilations, the movie was so much fun. It's like if a shonen anime movie was actually great and not pointless filler to make money. Strange World is pretty great for what it is, but I'll admit it's not for everyone. It does tread a lot of Disney familiar ground. Del Toro's Pinocchio is excellent to a T. Easily one of the best animated movies of this year, the stop-motion animation is stellar, and the retelling of the Pinocchio story is awesome and depressingly dark. Anyway, that's it. It took way too long to write this review, but tell me your thoughts on Pompo the Cinephile, and tell me what your favorite animated movies of the year were now that we're at the end of the year. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thank you for watching, and catch you next time.